Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our discussion today with Sean Montgomery, Director of Sales and System Engineering with TP-Link. We're very happy to roll out the TP-Link Aginet Unified Cloud Managed Wi-Fi solution, or TAUC. This was developed specifically for ISPs and dedicated to simplifying operation, reducing costs over the entire ISP lifecycle, and providing comprehensive monitoring and remote troubleshooting for all of your CPEs. We will also cover how this interacts with their Deco product line as well. We have a lot of information to cover. Please submit all of your questions in the chat window, and we will cover them after the presentation. We will also record and upload today's webinar for anyone who may have missed it or would like to rewatch it. So I would like to hand it over now to Sean Montgomery. Sean, the floor is all yours.
All right, well, thank you, sir. Thanks everyone for the time today. And what I'd like to do is kind of just give you a brief overview of TP-Link and then kind of walk through the Aginet product line and our vision for, the ISP, and TP-Link going forward. So really quick on the TP-Link commercial. A lot of people don't understand or know the size of TP-Link. We are actually the world's #1 manufacturer of Wi-Fi products. And this has been for the last 12 years and 13 years. We've actually taken over #1 in the US this last year. Now, this is in units sold. This is not in dollars. And I think that is a very key metric there because it shows where our price point is. And the reason for that price point is we are the manufacturer at the end of the day. So we do our own housings, we do our own power supplies, connectors, everything is made inside TP-Link. But, with that being said, we source tier 1 silicon. So we source, the Qualcomms and the Broadcoms of the world and put that into our product. But, with us having every, piece of the manufacturing process, it's really helped us these last couple of years with our size and, again, manufacturing, that we did not gap out during the pandemic. We always had products. I think that is very, very important, especially for the service provider side. And then there's the spectrum of products. Most people know TP-Link for, the low-cost routers on Amazon, for lack of a better term. They don't understand what we have when it comes to the full gamut, right? We do have, a full solution of managed switches, unmanaged switches, wireless. And then, of course, the service provider side, which is, kind of hidden from a lot of people, that know about TP-Link. So if you kind of take a step back, you have, from a one-stop solution, we do have the Omada Cloud SDN service, which is a centralized platform for, business class, enterprise Wi-Fi, MDU deployments, hotels, things like that. We have, the switches and the routers, and then the ISP side, and that's what we're going to talk about today. So myself and my team, we are ISP. We do have access to the full portfolio, but now we're going to have a very ISP focused product line, for our customers. So with that, let me kind of introduce the Aginet solution. So this is a solution. This is, this is hardware. This is software. The app. There's also a config tool. So this is a complete solution. And you can see the little blurb. Deco for ISP is supported in this solution. So I'm going to kind of go over now just a little bit what we're seeing in the industry. And if you've talked to me in the past, you might have seen some of these slides. But at the end of the day, we're seeing the same thing. So you guys know Wi-Fi is broadband today, right? The Wi-Fi is the end of the service. It is your service, right? Because people do not say anymore the internet is down or the internet is slow. It is Wi-Fi is slow, Wi-Fi is terrible, or so-and-so's Wi-Fi sucks. So Wi-Fi really at the end of the day is your service. So you need to be able to manage that service and be able to troubleshoot and, and look at the health of that service for your customers. So Wi-Fi is broadband today. And then I'm going to take that a step further and, why mesh? Really, the use cases have grown immensely over the years of why and where you need Wi-Fi, right? So, you need Wi-Fi on these outer walls because that's where your TVs are, right? So you have your Fire Sticks and your Rokus. You have to have, ambiguous coverage everywhere. People now need Wi-Fi in the bathrooms because they're bringing their tablet in there to read. So there's a lot of, you have use cases for everywhere in the home. And now, of course, you need Wi-Fi on the outside of your home to, support your cameras if you're sitting by your pool. So, you need ambiguous coverage both inside and I would say now outside your home as well. And then more on the industry trends, we're seeing the race to 10 gig. So the race to 10 gig is on, if we like it or not. We know with the evolution of XGS-PON and other technologies, we're getting there. And if you look, you'll see Google just announced an 8 gig service, Frontier a 5 gig service, a lot of other 5 gig services out there from AT&T and others. So the race is definitely on to get 10 gig performance to the home and to the CPE. So with that being said, one of the key features of the Aginet product is making sure that WAN equals LAN. So if you do have a 10 gig service, a 5 gig service, a 2 gig service, that you have the corresponding interface on the LAN side as well. So the picture I'm showing is a dual 10 gig device. In future products from us, you're going to start to see that we are going to be adding a combo port. So 10 gig copper or 10 gig fiber to our 10 gig devices. So again, the race to 10 gig is on, and you must have WAN equals LAN. And then the third piece of that is speed test really needs to equal the WAN as close as it possibly can. So that is a direction from TP-Link, is to make sure, again, we can be your partner on this race to 10 gig. And then other technologies that are coming into play is definitely Wi-Fi 7 and 6E. 6E is now out now. Wi-Fi 7 is out in pre-certification form. I do not expect ISPs really to adopt Wi-Fi 7 until the Wi-Fi Alliance, certifies and has a certification plan in place or process in place. And we expect that at the end of 23, but most likely 24. But you're going to see products from us. TP-Link already has products out in the Best Buys of the world for Wi-Fi 7, and we'll bring those over to the Aginet product line here very soon. But I just kind of wanted to give you a brief overview of Wi-Fi 7 and 6E and what's coming from a product standpoint. And then the last is we made the conscious decision in the Aginet product to use the Wi-Fi certified EasyMesh standard. So the EasyMesh standard, if you're not familiar, is the Wi-Fi Alliance's mesh standard. The goal of this standard is inter-vendor interoperability. So the idea is if one day you might be able to have a TP-Link device, pair with an Eero device paired with a NETGEAR device. That is a ways down the road, but that is the goal of the Wi-Fi EasyMesh certification. So we decided that we were going to do EasyMesh in the Aginet product line because we might not always win the gateway in the home. If you're using another vendor ONT or possibly another device, but if it supports EasyMesh, then you have the option to use TP-Link as an extender or an AP in that home. So I think it's very important that we are moving to all standards-based to give you options when you enter that realm. So now kind of talk about the actual Aginet solution itself. So I guess the first thing I want to bring up is the differences between Aginet and Deco for ISP. At a high level, Deco was a retail product that we added ISP management to. The Aginet product was developed specifically for ISPs. So I think that, if you take that from a high level, you can kind of look, I'll walk through these, but kind of look at why the differences are there, right? So the management protocol for Aginet is standards-based. It's TR69369. For Deco for ISP, it's what we call DCMP, so Deco Control Management Protocol. That, of course, is proprietary. The mesh is a standard, is EasyMesh, release 2. They're working on release 3 and will be certified with that once it gets released. TP-Link is what we call one mesh. So again, it's TP-Link proprietary. Firmware updates. You'll have the ability now to host your own external file server and push firmware at your leisure. We'll also have a cloud push feature for Aginet in the future, in a very soon or future release. For Deco for ISP, it was cloud push only. Speed test. So with speed test on Aginet, we're going to support both TR143, and then we are adding UCLA in now. So for those who don't want to stand up a TR143 server and just want to use the speedtest.net or UCLA service, that will be available to Aginet and is already available to Deco for ISP today. On the Aginet side, the reason, TR143 is a standard from the Broadband World Forum, but if you're using TR143, you can now run scheduled test, because with our current deal with UCLA, we're not allowed to schedule speed test because we could overrun their servers. But with TR143, you can schedule test, and if you can use this to run daily tests and then give yourself a QoE or quality of experience score for all your customers. So I think it's very important that TR143 has been added. Backup file for configuration. So if you need to replace a unit, you can have your backup files stored on on one of your servers, and the device can call for that backup file and download it from a restoration perspective. That is not supported in Deco for ISP. The app. So Aginet has the Aginet app. Deco has the Deco app. Pretty self-explanatory. Historical data. So with Aginet, there is a service with our Wi-Fi management, which is an extra fee, and I'll go through the fees at the end of the presentation. But you will have the ability to see historical data. So, we all have the customers that call in and say the Xbox was buffering last night. Well, this way you can look back and see at 7 p.m. last night what was going on in the network. With Deco for ISP, this is not there. It's only snapshots. And then Wi-Fi channel scans. So Aginet has the ability to do scans inside the home or inside the business, so you can see what is going on from an RF perspective inside the home. Deco for ISP does not have that. So the TAUC solution manages both Deco for ISP and Aginet products. The one caveat, just to make clear, is Deco works with Deco, Aginet works with Aginet. So a customer is either going to be a Deco home or an Aginet home. There's not a hybrid there. The hybrid happens on the management side. So from your management portal, you can see both the Aginet devices and the Deco devices, and then manage them accordingly. All right, so now I'm going to move on to products. So we do have a full product line of the Aginet products, and I'm just going to walk through a couple of these. This is the HX220, which is an AX1800 device. This maps to the Deco X20. So if you're familiar with Deco, the Deco X20 and the HX220 are the same from a Wi-Fi configuration standpoint. But again, the Aginet product supports EasyMesh and TR69369 from a management perspective. Also, we had a lot of people ask for more Ethernet ports. So this device does have 3 Ethernet ports. So one is a WAN-LAN, and then 2 extra gigabit LAN ports. So you have this is the HX220, and then you have the HX510, which is equivalent to the Deco X50. So this is your AX3000 base device. Still a simple 2x2 plus 2x2 Wi-Fi configuration, but this supports 160 megahertz wide channels on the 5 gigahertz side. Now, not all clients or too many clients support that today, but that gives you a better backhaul channel. So, with AX3000 and having that 160 megahertz wide channel, that could be utilized for backhaul. Also, just to note, these function in the same way as Deco. So any device can be the main unit. Any device can be the AP. Also, you can hardwire these devices. We always take the best path back. So if you do have structured wiring, you can just set these up as APs and let the management system put the right client at the right place in the right time. So those are the two that I'm going to feature. But I kind of want to show you the full product line. So the HC220 I didn't mention, that is Wi-Fi 5. That is your entry level point. If you're, again, if you have 100 meg and less customers, the HC220 works just fine and is at a very good price point. The HX220 again is the X20. Equivalent HX510 is the X50. And then this summer, we will be releasing the HX510 PoE and the HX510 Outdoor. So the 510 PoE is just what it sounds like. It is the HX510, but has a PoE interface we have a lot of customers that are doing, new home builds, right? So they're new home builds and MDUs, and they're using our, either Deco or Amada products, and this is another option for them. One thing to note, this does have a 2.5 gig WAN port. So the HX510 PoE has the 2.5 gig WAN. And then the HX510 Outdoor, this can also be PoE powered device for your outside. So if you want, again, the pool, any outbuilding, patios, front porch, the HX510 is a solution and now part of the management realm. So you can have all these devices, again, being managed by TAUC. So that's your Wi-Fi 6. And then the next two products I want to introduce is the EX920 and the EX1110. This follows the methodology I just talked about at the beginning, right? The EX920 is a tri-band 6E device with dual 2.5 gig interfaces. So it has a 2.5 gig WAN, 2.5 gig LAN interface. Again, this is your entry level for multi-gig. So you could use an EX920 as your main router and then use HX510s or 220s, as the satellites or the APs if you like. And then the EX1110 is a dual 10 gig router. So this is a tri-band 6E with 10 gig WAN, 10 gig LAN. Just so you guys know, the EX920 is out now and available today. The EX1110, the first production run is being finished now, and I expect to have quantities in my warehouse by the end of June, beginning of July. So you'll see those products. Again, the EX920 is out today, EX1110. So that will fill out the product line. What's coming from Wi-Fi 7 is we have two models slated right now, the EB610 and EB810. The EB610, again, follows the same methodology. This is a dual 2.5 gig device, right? So a 2.5 gig WAN with three 2.5 gig LAN ports. This is Wi-Fi 7. And then the EB810 is where you see our first introduction of the dual 10 gig, but with a combo port. So again, 10 gig copper or 10 gig fiber on the EB810. I should start seeing samples of these in June, and then production is probably going to be early fall for the Wi-Fi 7 routers. So if you want to be an early adopter, reach out to us or ISP Supplies. We'll get you on the list. But Wi-Fi 7 is coming and is coming quickly. I think, with MLO and some of the, multi-link operation and some of the things that they're doing, Wi-Fi 7 will be pretty neat. We just need to wait for the clients to catch up. So that's it from a hardware perspective. And then just want to kind of give you a couple screenshots of the app. The app is very Deco-like. So if you like the Deco app, you're going to like the Aginet app. We can brand this app as well. So if you want your logo on the app when the customer opens up the app, we can do that for you. And kind of to take a step back, the idea behind the product is really to let the customer manage themselves, right? And make that an easy process. And then you have, as the ISP, have the back end to help them out or bail them out when needed. We all have those customers that are not going to want to use the app. They're going to call you every time. That's just the nature of the business. And you have that ability with the TAUC platform. But hopefully, if you do provide your customer the app, they might be able to help themselves and save you that support call. The other piece of the software is what we call Aginet Config. So Aginet Config is a simple tool that allows you to set your own defaults. So this kind of allows you, no matter what your size is, to kind of get a custom SKU, right? To get a custom SKU from TP-Link, you have to have, pretty high volumes. But with this tool, this allows you to load your own defaults. You can load your logo. You can load your favicon, which is the picture next to your URL. So if any customer hits the factory reset button, because we know they love to do that, it can go back to this default config that works on your network. So again, this is a nice, easy, simple to use tool. ISP supplies could do this for you. You can do it yourself. But again, allows you to have a custom SKU without the custom volumes. And now actually to TAUC. So TAUC stands for TP-Link Aginet Unified Cloud. And I think, the U is the key piece here because it does support Deco for ISP. Anyone that is listening to this webinar and was a Deco for ISP customer, you are already a TAUC customer because you were upgraded at the beginning of March. So anyone who was a Deco for ISP customer can add Aginet devices to their management instance today. And once you add that first one, you get your 90-day trial starts with the Aginet product. So that is already built in. Again, anyone that was already on the Deco for ISP platform is on the TAUC platform now. And I will tell you, if you're not on the platform now, I'll tell you how to do that and get registered. And then, myself and ISP Supplies will be in contact with you and we can get you set up to trial and hopefully deploy the product and the service. So the TAUC key features. I know I've said this a few times, but use of industry standards. So this is TR69, 369 based, using EasyMesh, using the multi-AP methodology that is built into the broadband forums TR69 data model. So that is all built in on standards. Unified cloud management, again, supports both Aginet and Deco for ISP. We still have the zero-touch deployment model. We have real-time troubleshooting with the Aginet product if you have the Wi-Fi management license. And I really should caveat that to say almost real-time, but we have the ability to download all attributes of the network in one data call. We're using a standard called TR157, which is bulk data collection. If you turn on real-time troubleshooting, that turns it on, and now we're going to collect that data every 60 seconds. So if you're working with a customer, you'll get intervals, you'll get quick updates every 60 seconds as you're walking through this. Agile task, we still have this. So this is the ability to schedule tasks like firmware upgrades, PMT testing, if you're a CAF, BEAD, RDOF recipient, that is built in, but you must have your own speed test servers. We do not supply the speed test servers at the end of the day. And then open API integration. So we do have full set of APIs for TAUC. You just have to apply. And we do have different levels of APIs. So best effort is free to you. So we're not charging. You have access to the API. You have best effort. So basically, you do an API call, when the system can get gets to it, it'll do it. If you need your own API gateway, then we do have structured pricing for that based on how many transactions per second that you need to be guaranteed. But I think in most cases, and with this audience, a best effort API works well. So, but again, if you want your own API gateway stood up with your guaranteed, thousands of transactions per second, we can do that as well. All right, so to talk about the actual cloud management, again, if you were a Deco for ISP customer, everything is the same. The interface is the same. There are just a couple of extra tabs at the end of the day for the Aginet devices based on their license. But at a high level, it is a simple web-based portal, easy searchable database to find your customers quickly. So once you find that customer, you click on them, you have full manageability of that customer, and then multiple installation options. I think this is also a key feature of Deco for ISP and TAUC. So you have the idea of a pro install. I can do the install completely on all my device, my smart device. I do not have to touch the end customer's device. And then once I'm done with the install, I can transfer ownership to the end user. Customer self-install, we definitely pride ourselves on how easy it is to install our products. So you could simply register the product in the background. The customer, you ship the product to the customer does the install, let's say for an upgrade and service. Once that unit's online, it's manageable. And then we have the zero touch method, which from a pre-configuration standpoint, we have a basic config. You just plug the units in. If they can reach the internet, they'll grab that configuration and no install is needed. One other thing on the easy searchable database, we do provide you 3 what we call user-defined fields. This allows you to use things that you use in your organization. So if you use a customer number or an account number, maybe an invoice number, you can have a field for that. If you want to base it on tower or region, you can do that. The whole idea is to be able to individualize or group your customers, and so you can find them quickly. So if you had, a customer call in and they're on tower X, you could do a search for that tower X and get all the customers that they're on that tower and see, is it a network issue or is it an individual issue? And you can see that pretty quickly by building your database that way. So just to mention that those haven't utilized that feature yet. And then what I'm going to show you now is kind of the higher level function. So we have this Wi-Fi management module that allows historical data. So, in this view, and if you're a Deco for ISP, you're used to this view already, but you see there's an action button that you can now see historical data. So again, this is a nice searchable. You can search on different products here, but then once you want to find it, you can click on it. And this is a screenshot. This is my Fire TV. So you can see when the TV basically, the RSI is nice and level as it should be, right? It's a Fire TV, so it's not moving. Link rate should be nice and steady as it is. And then you can actually see the speed of the Fire Stick, the data rate coming in. So you can see when the TV went on and when the TV went off. If I take this a step back and now look at 7 days, this is my phone. This is an older screenshot based on that date, but you can kind of see when I was home, when I was not home. Probably ran a speed test on that one, but again, gives you that historical data that was missing from Deco. Deco is always snapshots. You can only see what was happening, but if you're using our, Wi-Fi management module, then you have this historical data to reference. Also, you have the ability to do Wi-Fi interference scans. So we will give you both this, a nice graph to see it, in a graph form, but we also will give you the full list of every AP that we can see, what RSSI it's at, channel width, and security. So we do this for all 3 bands, 2.4, 5, and 6 gigahertz. So you now have the ability to do that. We're going to be adding the ability to do daily scans and auto channel changes. So there's a lot of things coming in TAUC that was not available for the Deco platform. Speed test. On the Aginet device, one of the things that we've been asking for on Deco for a while, and we finally got on the Aginet solder, is about to be released. I can run a speed test from any device, any AP, right? So here, if you look at my little screenshot, I have a drop-down list. So I could run the speed test from the main unit itself, of course, but then I can run it from the kitchen or the garage unit, right? So really see what that backhaul is between the mesh nodes. So that way you have an understanding of what that speed might be to the clients that are behind that mesh node. Also, you see in the top test method. So we, as I mentioned earlier, we're going to be adding back UCLA to the Aginet side. So you'll have the ability to run a speed test or TR-143 base test. Again, the caveat is TR-143 can be scheduled, UCLA cannot. UCLA is on demand. But that gives you, again, more flexibility from a speed test perspective and having the ability to test, again, the actual mesh nodes and test the backhaul of those devices. Another thing on the Aginet product that was not on the Deco product is being able to separate SSIDs. So you can separate your SSIDs, your 2.4 and your 5 gigahertz. You have the ability to manipulate now, of course, channel and channel width, but also transmit power. Also on the Aginet product, we do support multi-SSID. So you can add, I believe, up to 8 SSIDs and have different management for those. So, that was another thing on the Deco product line that was a limitation to some service providers wanting to have multiple SSIDs or being able to split out an SSID for maybe IoT or smart home or for their cameras. So that capability is now there in the Aginet-based devices. From a Wi-Fi monitoring standpoint, there are a lot of things that you can now monitor if you use the Wi-Fi management module. So I kind of just took a screenshot. I don't think this is all of them, but you can see I can have it trigger and provide alerts to the back end if you have more than 20 clients per AP. More than, and you can see, I'm not going to read all these, but basically coverage. You can have utilization rates. You can have packet error rates. From a Wi-Fi client perspective, you can get triggers if a client is worse than minus 75 dB or below. So again, gives you more insight to be able to, I guess, call the customer and say, you might be better served by another AP, right? So we can tell that you're right on the brink. If we add a third or a fourth AP or a second AP, you will have, a better Wi-Fi experience. So all this stuff is built into TAUC and with a nice reporting structure. We will also be adding what we're calling cards. So you can set up scenarios and say, if I have X amount of customers that are minus 75 in dB, please send an alert to, customer support agent, and then they can call that customer. So there's going to be a lot of things that we're going to do from a proactive standpoint in the next 6 to 12 months that you're going to see coming out with Aginet. And then I'm going to talk just quickly about pricing. I think we still have the best pricing in the industry. I know we're not free, but the people that are free can't be free forever. I can tell you that. It's going to come to a time that they're going to have to pay somebody, or someone's going to have to pay for that service. The way that we monetize our service is really based on our bill to Amazon Web Services, our AWS bill. So if you look at the Deco for ISP, which is the top 3 lines, it was $3 per year per network at the highest level. So again, that is per year, not per month, and that is per network and not per device. So I think that's very key to understand. Now you're going to see a pricing difference when I move down to the TAUC. You can see it goes up $1, so $3.99 a year. Again, this is a year. But the reason being is there's more interaction between the cloud and the CPE device. So based on that interaction, because of the way TR69 works, that's why there's an extra cost. If you're looking at the managed Wi-Fi, you see that that does step up quite a bit, right? It moves from $3.99 to $9.99. But why is that? Why is it such a big move? Well, at the end of the day, we are now, if you're doing the managed Wi-Fi, we are collecting all the data for that network every 15 minutes of every day, all year long. That is why you see that price go up. And then we're going to be adding a time machine, because we've been asked by a few customers that they want more than 7 days, and we're working on that pricing model now to be able to do that. But I think another really thing to realize here also is this is not all or nothing, right? So with Aginet, you could have, let's say you have, I'll just take an easy round number, you have 100 customers. 5 of them are very high maintenance customers, right? So they're the ones that call you every day or every week. You could easily just have those 5 customers be on the managed Wi-Fi platform, so you have all that information on those 5, and the rest of your customers could be at the lower or the basic level. So I think that's very important to understand. It's not all or nothing. So you can have just a couple of customers, or maybe your white glove customers, be on the managed Wi-Fi side, and then the basic management. Because I hope that you're charging your customers, or you have built into your price, a managed Wi-Fi fee, and that way, we'll just take the basic management. You're charging $5 to $7 a month for your managed Wi-Fi fee. That first month, you give us the $4. The other 11 months of the year, that money is all yours. If you're not charging that management fee, I would say then this is a good insurance policy, not to roll a truck or have to go on site. So I think from an insurance perspective, is it worth the $3 to $4 for insurance? I would say yes, because if you roll one truck, if it saves you rolling one truck, it's definitely paid for itself. So that's the pricing piece. And then to register for the service, again, if you were a Deco for ISP customer, you're already on the service. You can add Aginet devices, and once you add your first Aginet device, you get your 90 days trial license on that Aginet device, up to 10 devices. So you can check out the Wi-Fi management piece, for yourself. But if you want to register and you're not a Deco for ISP customer, just go to the TP-Link website, click on the service provider link, and then there's a TAUC basic page. At the bottom of that page, I think it says join us or register to be a partner. Once you do that, you will get, I will reach out to you, set up a time for us to meet, and then walk you through the platform. So I can do a live demo to anybody that would like to see demos. I didn't want to do it today, but if you want to see a demo, just kind of sign up for the service and get with me or your representative from ISP Supplies. And then the last thing, and then I'll open up to questions. I just wanted to make everyone aware that TP-Link will be introducing our OLTs and ONTs by the end of this summer. So we will have a 4, 8, and 16 port GPON. We'll have an 8 and 16 port combo PON coming very soon. And then we already have some of the bridges. We have just a simple GPON bridge that is available today. We'll have XGS PON bridges available this summer. And then you're going to see from us some integrated base devices. And then, of course, we're going to have the SFP ports on our higher end devices coming, by the end of the year. So that's kind of my presentation for today. Thank you, and I'll open it up to questions.
Awesome presentation. Thank you for putting it together, Sean. I'm glad you were able to also include the overview of the fiber products as well in there. A few questions did come in. We answered most of these in the slides, but let's recap on some of them. This first one's a 2-part question. Is there monthly pricing available, or is yearly the only billing option?
There is not. So it depends on your size, I want to say. If you are a large customer and would like to be invoiced, we can do invoicing. But we prefer if it's just the annual pay, annual license. And the way the license works is you grab a pool of licenses. Let's say you purchase 100, and then you have auto activate and auto renew. As customers, license expire, it'll pull from that pool of 100. As customers are onboarded, it'll pull from that pool of 100. The timer does not count on those licenses until they're applied. So you can have a pool of licenses, I get this question asked a lot, already there, and then you just pull from that pool. The auto activate and auto renew does not charge your credit card automatically. That is just to pull from the available licenses that you have already. Hopefully that answers that question.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. Makes sense. I guess there's like a third part here to the question also. Is there a cost per device? I know we went over this, but
it is not a cost per device. It is a cost per customer. So a customer can have one Deco or Aginet unit, and it's that $3 or $3.99 charge, or they could have up to 10 units in that home, and it is still a $3 or $3.99 charge. So it is per network, per customer, per door, however you would like to look at it.
Very reasonable. Thank you. We did cover that TAUC supports Deco for ISP. The question is that, is Deco for ISP going away?
It is not going away. You're going to see development more on the Aginet side. Deco for ISP is pretty mature in what we can do with the protocols that we have in place. What you're seeing on the Aginet side is a lot of things that were asked of Deco that Deco could not do. So that's where you're going to see the development, but Deco for ISP is not going away. We have a lot of very happy customers on Deco, and we want to keep them that way.
Perfect. One last two-part question here. Will you be adding XGS-PON to TAUC, and what about Wi-Fi 7?
So the answer to both is yes. So the XGS-PON will be added to our Aginet lineup. It'll be able to be managed via TAUC. We also, again, mentioning that we will have SFP plus ports on some of our devices going forward, so you can do an ONT on a stick as well. And then, of course, the integrated devices. But the OLTs themselves will have their own management system from an OLT perspective, and then the CPE will be managed by TAUC. Now there will be basically a hyperlink between the two. It'll kind of look like one interface, but at the end of the day, it's going to be two management systems, just because of the protocols used between an OLT and management and ONT.
Great. Well, that is all the time that we have. We'd like to thank everyone who took the time today to join us. Special thank you to Sean Montgomery and the team at TP-Link for their continued support, improvements, and proactive product development. This presentation will be available on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/ISP Supplies, and we'll also be sharing it on social media. If anyone would like any additional information on any of these TP-Link products or would like to go ahead and place an order, please give us a shout. Our number here is 855-947-7776, or you can shoot us an email at sales@ispsupplies.com, and one of our agents will be able to assist you. So wishing everybody a great rest of your week, and until next time.